Joining me in studio right now in his new day, but not the new time. Same time, new day. Kevin Richards, Ventura Web Design with Tech News. Good morning.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a Friday here.
Okay, well, see you later afterwards then. At 9 o'clock, I might have forgotten. By the way, because you're in studio each week, if you want to join in, 702-257-5396, 702-257-KDWN, our Centennial Toyota phone line. Call or text. And you can join in, and Kevin will get your questions and answers right here on the air.
You were mentioning earlier that your listeners can follow you on Facebook and allenstock.com. It simply means that the conversation doesn't stop here. The conversation goes on all day long, and that's where it's happening. And once you're off the air, you can still interact with Allen and us, and get your opinions heard.
And I do that. I'm on Facebook all the time, posting stuff and back and forth, and I'm just telling you all that, And people, oh, you're crazy. And I'm back and forth. It's always a lot of fun. All right. Everything is becoming an app these days. We all know that. Everything. You sneeze, it's an app. Now, Taco Bell has a new app. Tell me about this.
They do. They're the first major fast food chain to put out their own app that allows you to order before you get to the restaurant. So for all of you fast food addicts, Taco Bell lovers, download it's either a Google Android app or it's also on Apple's iOS, and you can place your order on the way to the restaurant before you even get there. And the neat thing is,
not while you're driving though.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And you can customize your food order. You can add extra cheese. You can say no sour cream on those nachos. And the neat thing is,
no soup for you.
They don't make the food until you get there. That's kind of the neat thing about the app. It knows when you have entered the building, and then it sends the information to them at that time.
So when you hit send, it doesn't really send it until you walk in the building, and all of a sudden it goes, and then bam, it's there.
Exactly. The other neat thing is you can avoid talking to people. You don't have to place the order anymore. You've already done it. You just have to walk in the building, and boom, they start making your food.
We have to pay for it. You have to talk to them.
Well, if you want to pay for it that way, you can. You can also pay for it through the app. It's kind of like the Apple Pay app that you can do that with. At McDonald's, they've already adopted Apple Pay over there.
Wow, incredible. So you can order your food, you go in, pick it up, and say, don't talk to me. And just walk away and never have an interaction with anybody.
And here's the real time saver. You can...
Hermits will love it.
Yeah, that's right. You can reorder your meals from the past. So once you've decided you know what you like, it's in your app. You can just push the reorder button, and you're good to go.
You put what I had August 23rd, just duplicate that.
That's right. Big time saver.
Wow. Who'd have thunk?
Now, you can't order it and have it delivered to your house quite yet, but
that sucks.
There are services that may be considering making that happen.
Are you kidding? You know what they'll do? They'll put it on a drone and they'll send it to your house. That's what they'll do.
The Taco Bell drone or Uber.
All right. So Apple Pay, how's it going? Have you used it yet by any chance?
I have. I got my iPhone 6. I've used Apple Pay. It's interesting. It's not as intuitive as you think it is. You kind of have to think about how to use it. So the way, if you have an Apple iPhone 6, you have to set it up first. You can take a picture of your credit card, and it'll take all that information right in. You don't have to type it in. It's smart enough to do it for you. You then accept the terms of service with your credit card company, and you're ready to go. Then you run out to McDonald's or Walgreens or one of the other places that accepts Apple Pay. You go up to the register, you have them scan all your items, and then instead of pulling out a credit card and swiping it through the machine, you put your phone near the credit card terminal if it has what's called a near-field communication terminal. And so it'll then recognize, hey, this phone is trying to pay me. And then your phone will wake up, and you just put your finger over the Touch ID at the bottom, and you authorize the purchase.
Quick question, a really silly question, but a fair question, okay? When it goes in and gets to pay from you because you hit the thing, is there any possibility on God's green earth that it can access any of the other information in your phone?
I don't think so, because it's a different...
Don't think so.
Well, I mean,
I'm just asking.
I got to hedge the answer here. I think...
But I have to ask that question because, all these... I love the new technology. I love these new things. You come in every week, I get excited about all this stuff, but then I'm wondering what the downside is, and I'm concerned about that.
Right. Well, the difference is there's something in the phone, in the iPhone specifically, called the secure element. And that's what's making the communication. That's what's making that payment transaction. Okay. I actually don't think that there's anything in the terminal that would be able to capture any of your other information. It's just not built to do that yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love the way you do this. That's great. It's not built to do it yet. So eventually, perhaps, maybe, we'll see. I'll get back to you. It could happen.
Well, now, Apple has specifically said that they do not want to store your information like that. Apple's trying to be different than Google.
Okay. I like Apple anyway. You know that. All right. By the way, there are some retailers that are blocking Apple Pay. We'll talk about that. Tech News with Kevin Richards. Of course, you can find out more about Ventura Web Design, which Kevin owns. Go to allenstock.com. On the right-hand side of the page, you'll see the little Ventura Design logo. Click onto that, and voila, there you are. Voila. All right, let's talk about, we're talking about Apple Pay. Let's just quick finish up on that, because I know there are some retailers who are blocking Apple Pay. Why?
There are. So when you're purchasing at a retail store, a lot of people don't think about it. If you give the retailer cash, you're giving them 100% of that value of the cash. If you give them a credit card, you're actually giving them only about 97% of what you think you're paying them. And that's because that other 3% or whatever percentage it is goes to the banks and the credit card companies. So a lot of retailers are trying to circumvent that whole system. And what they did is they've created their own app and their own system that they're trying to push for next year. It's called Current C. And so they've signed a lot of non-compete agreements, and turns out that when Apple Pay rolled out, they weren't expecting that apparently, and it's caused them to have to now go out and proactively shut off their MFCs so they're not accepting Apple Pay in competition and of that agreement.
Wow. All right. So some people will have it and some won't. It'll be a competitive situation.
Yes, Apple Pay is definitely having some trouble getting traction. It's not as widespread as I think Apple would like you to believe. Places like Walmart and Sam's Club and Sears and Kmart, they're not accepting Apple Pay.
All right, let's shift gears here. Let's talk about Uber, because it's been in the news a lot, and I really want to get into that. Came to Las Vegas, got blocked by the Attorney General. And then I understand that now a judge has said they can go ahead and do it. One guy was driving some charges the other day, and he got stopped and harassed by masked men who put him up against the car and searched his car. And, I'm just, the whole thing. Listen, what's going on? Do we have Uber or not?
I saw that report. That looked pretty serious when he said he was pulled over by several masked and also uniformed officers. And so technically what happened is the Clark County District Judge, Douglas Herndon, he ruled on Uber and basically said it does not pose a threat to public safety. And so they can continue being allowed to operate until the next court hearing.
Okay.
They were the Attorney General and the taxi cab authorities were trying to get Uber to have to wait until the next hearing, which is set for 10 a.m. on November 14th.
Okay.
So it's hard to decide, whether or not this is something that you can take advantage of at this point, because you've got drivers who, in theory, can still be stopped and cited by the taxi cab authority.
But the judge said you could do it.
Well, he said that the app doesn't have to be shut down in the time that they're waiting.
So the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing in this case.
That's what it seems like to me. And, you've got Washoe County gave the opposite order, saying that there is going to be a temporary restraining order and you cannot use Uber in Washoe County.
All right. For those who don't know, describe Uber.
So Uber's an app, and that was their argument in court. They're an app. They're a technology company. They are not a taxi cab company, and that's really where the fight comes down to. And so what it is it's an app that you can carry with you, and you simply log in, say, hey, I'm looking to get a ride. It knows where you're physically located, and then it finds...
Because what? Because it's...
Because you have your location services turned on your phone.
Okay.
So it knows your GPS location, and it then finds you the closest Uber driver, somebody who's driving around, sitting, waiting for an opportunity to pick somebody up.
Okay.
And this is just another normal, ordinary citizen. Now, they have gone through some type of screening. Uber does have their license plate number. They have their insurance and driver's license information. So it's not a completely random person who's coming to pick you up. The key here is Uber is an app, and you actually have to download that app to participate. And that's really where Uber's hedging their argument on. They're saying, we're not a taxi company. We're not advertising ourselves as a company that can pick people up. We don't do any advertising at all, as a matter of fact. Simply, we are encouraging people to use this app and find one another.
But they are encouraging people, though. Isn't that right? Am I wrong with that, or what? I mean,
Well, I
mean,
think,
if you use the app, you use the app for what purpose? To be picked up?
well, right.
I mean, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
It's a play on words, but the legal argument that Uber is making is that they're not offering ride services via advertising to the public. And I think that's kind of one of those key legal arguments that the taxi.
They're not using ride services, but if you use the app to call someone, they'll give you a ride. So it is a ride service. I mean, that's what I mean. I
hear you.
I'm trying to I mean, it's not again, I'm for it or against it. Yep. I'm just trying to understand what it is. And it seems like this is they're trying to, the word is obfuscate, this whole thing. And, I just, and have it both ways. And I don't think you can do that.
You know what I like? I love when technology and politics comes together. And that's exactly what's happening right now in this Uber case. And you look at one of our judges, Douglas Herndon, who is up for re-election.
Correct.
And it's kind of neat. We get to see his ruling style right before election time. So you can choose whether or not you want to elect him or not.
We're going to stay on top of the Uber thing, get someone in next week from Uber to talk about Uber and, maybe get someone else from the other side to chat about it as well. Real quickly, we've got a lot of time, but I know I saw somewhere that AT&T is being sued by the FTC over throttling data. What is throttling?
So as we all move away from using our cell phones just to make phone calls, and we start using it pretty much as our primary internet activity device, our email device, our calendars, we're using more data. And that's causing a little bit of a strain on those networks that are out there. And you certainly have some users who utilize more data than others. There's some people who will sit there in the park and log into YouTube and watch tons of videos, or log into Netflix or Amazon Prime Instant Video, anything like that, and they'll be streaming tons of data. And the problem that AT&T is having is that this one user, sure, they're happy, they're having a good time watching their videos, but then that causes slower network connectivity for tons of other users. So AT&T, once you reach a certain criteria, they start doing what's called throttling, and they basically slow down the flow of data that's allowed to come to your phone. That's what it sounds like, just like that.
Oh, well, how do you go ahead and use a lot of data and not have it slow down? Is there a certain type of a program you can get into that allow you to use more data?
Well, one trick that you can do is, one thing you need to do is you need to identify whenever you're around public Wi-Fi, or if you're near the house or near the office, you need to make sure you're connecting to that available Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi means you're not using the over-the-air network signal. You're using your local internet access signal. So you can minimize your data usage there. But if you're, if you're out in the park somewhere and you're going to watch a video, you're going to be using a lot of data. But it doesn't mean that you're going to hit their thresholds. AT&T is, they're trying to, again, walk a very fine line as far as what they're willing to tell us. The AT&T is said to have throttled about 3.5 million customers, and it's usually happening on people who have what's called an unlimited data plan.
I think throttled. They used to use that when the grandma took a switch or something like that. They were going to throttle you or something like that. Kevin Richards, the CEO and founder of Ventura Web Design, with his tech news every Thursday now at 7:30. You can find more out about Ventura Web Design by going to allenstock.com and clicking on that Ventura Web Design logo on the right-hand side of the page, because by way of disclosure, they did my web page, and it's beautiful. Kevin, thanks for coming in. We'll do it again next week.
Absolutely. Everybody needs to get on Facebook and pay attention to your Facebook page.
They need to do that. Absolutely. I think it's a great suggestion. Shelton next. Dan Schwartz at 8:30. I'm Alan Stock. This is Kate on Stock.